Hey, Denny, we're gonna get started. You guys are ready. JJ's supposed to ring in remotely. Thanks, Denny. We have Adrian and Laura on remote as well.
At 8.
He'll be 9. Mr. Houston won't be here. Who's the 11th that we don't have? Oh, Laura, where
Sean.
I know that we need to speak louder. They were having trouble hearing us
Okay.
Yeah.
on the video.
Where's it picking up at?
I don't know.
It's all these microphones
These mics
here
there.
hanging down.
Okay.
All right, Miss SJ. Here's the agenda.
All right, first we'll do roll call. We're missing Sean and JJ
And Chris.
and Chris. Receive and amend the, approve the minutes from the last meeting. Is that,
Can you put the minutes up on the screen so I can see them, so we can see them?
Oh, sorry about that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Reviewed minutes from January 29th, and then we discussed the IRC and some potential amendments with the details being in that audio recording. But nothing was voted on or decided upon. Been a fair amount of time talking about smoke and COs last meeting.
we have a motion to approve minutes?
Motion.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Then
So from here, we're gonna briefly go over chapter 1 through 10.
I'm gonna go through and say, chapter 1, does anybody have a potential discussion point or amendment? And if anybody does, I'm gonna mark 1 we need to review. If we get through a chapter that nobody has one, then it just kind of whittles our list down a bit. And then we can go back through those chapters, and whoever had a discussion point or an amendment, we can start to talk about it then.
Can you go like chapter 1 admin, chapter 2, blah, 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 whatever the
Yeah.
heading is?
Yeah, I might have you do it.
Okay. Yeah, chapter 1 is scope and administration.
So to clarify, we were doing the scope per code book instead of across all of them this year.
Yes, we talked about a month ago or so, after the first of the year. I brought it to you all, say we can do it one of 2 ways. We keep it like we've done it for how many years. We don't know why we did it that way, but I think it's gotten a little bit more complex as we've added more additional books. So we're gonna plan to adopt each chapter of each code. We will still have a chapter 1, but it will be for specific things like our building permit fees and stuff like that, specific to our jurisdiction. The rest of those chapters will be individually adopted by each code. So we'll adopt the chapter 1 of the IPC, the IMC, the IEPC, the IBC, the IRC.
So
And
the IRC, is there anything specific in chapter 1?
um,
Or are you finished looking at all those scopes?
I'm not done.
Okay.
That's a task I plan to get in the next month or so. But we'll bring those chapter 1 through 4 to you guys. It should be straightforward. I think, like Neil said, a lot of other cities in our general area have adopted the chapter 1s. Typically chapter 2s are the definitions sections. So we got the chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4. That all used to be one article before we renumbered it last spring. So that's how all the other following codes got renumbered by 3. Because 1 through 4 was one article. We broke it up into 4. So they'll make much more sense when we present those later this spring, most likely
So
spring.
you're saying now 1 through 4 in IRC, we don't have to worry about
No. You have,
just one scope.
each code has a scope.
City code is 1 through 4.
The city code, what is 1 through 4 now in the city code was just Article 1 previous to April 25. Can you bring that up real quick? It's confusing.
It used to just be one article until it got into 4.
So under chapter 5, that's everything so you'll see Article 1, Sarah Jane, is general administrative inspections, use and occupancy. Prior to the recodification of the city code clear across the board last spring, Article 1, 2, 3, and 4 was just Article 1. Through that recodified process, they broke Article 1 into 4 articles. So we'll have to look at Article 1, 2, 3, and 4, compare that to the scopes of each of these and see what can be struck out of this.
Yeah, so these will be
Once you go to, just for the heck of it, go to administration real quick.
These will be
Matt.
quite a bit lighter once we get through
Scroll
it,
down.
because
For example, scroll up just a little bit. For example, Sarah Jane and the board, notice and orders, inspection, identification, right of entry, department records. I would imagine if you look at chapter 1 of each code, those are the same verbatim or damn close. So we won't need that in Article 2. But we might need in modifications, modification language is gonna be the same, alternative. So we may have something in chapter 2, or maybe Article 2 goes away in its entirety. But some of these chapters some of the Articles 1 through 4 will be greatly reduced. Because what's in there is a all-encompassing of what's in Article 1 of all these code books together. When we adopted these in 2006, we didn't have the IEBC, we didn't have the energy code, we didn't have the spool and spa code. So it was probably made more sense to take everything in those books and put it together as an individual code. It probably doesn't make sense to do that now.
yeah, this supplements a lot of those code books where we would be missing something specific to plumbing.
Go to Article 1 and 5 real quick, just to hit the point home real quick. So general, go to general. Going down to the feed. All gas, mechanical plumbing, fire prevention, energy, that is just sections taken out of those individual codes and put in here. Since they already have it in that code, there's no need to do that. Now, the part that will probably stay is where we have our building permit fees that are specific to our city. That will still stay in the city code as we adopted it. Anyone need clarification on that? It's a little confusing.
Takes me a little bit to get up to speed. So in general, you are deferring to the code books
Correct.
over previously written sections of the city code.
Very well put.
Okay.
If we don't do that, we have to go through each code book and make sure we're not missing anything in our chapter 1 and put it into there.
Or duplicating.
Or duplicating
different
something.
language.
Yeah,
Make it easier for the end user to.
yeah, that makes it
Yeah,
easy.
so here's what we did with essentially with all these code books, we deleted chapter 1 and then we referenced you back.
Matt has already got a document for me. I'm sort of taking the lead on this. Matt's already went through some of this and highlighted what areas are repeat. Like I said, the right of entry, I'm just picking that one out because I know it right off the top. The right of entry on each code book is the exact same. So therefore, we had a right of entry taken out of those code books and put in the code. Since it's in every book, we don't need to do that. We'll just adopt those chapters of each code. If that makes sense.
And because of the energy code, residential code has specific requirements in the construction documents. And because of the energy code, the building code has specific documents required in the building construction documents. So, and that's written into the scope and administration portions.
Well, we found out there's a group of 4 of us that started doing it the previous way that's been done right now, the way it is right now. And we found out that there was going to be a lot of room for human error to make sure we went through all of these code books to make sure everything was taken out that needed to be there. Therefore, I started thinking about just doing it the different way, adopting each chapter one to make sure nothing gets missed.
Only have to document the amendments.
And you only have to document amendments,
Instead of the other way around.
which there probably won't be many,
Yeah, very few.
very few. So it gets, it even gets confusing to me when I talk about it,
Mhm.
but
Tend to think it recurs. Yeah.
yeah. I think what happened is, that, you know, we adopted the 2006 in January of 2008, so we probably started reviewing it in 2004 or 5, over 20 years ago. Not only were there less code books to put into these chapters, they've been added on. They don't shorten. They only get longer. So I think it makes sense to make this change now. And the city attorney's office has already reviewed both of those options. Basically said, Brian, pick which one you want to go with. And then I brought it to you guys like a month ago, and I got the feeling led by Neil, it's like, let's do it this way. So that was sort of, we wavered quite a bit, because there's really no wrong way of doing it. But that's where we landed.
Does anybody have anything in chapter 1 from the IRC that looks like it should be amended or clarified?
If we have no, we'll just keep rolling through.
Okay, chapter 2 is definitions.
I had one, this question, I think it goes, if it's in definitions, registered design professional, and design professional of record. Is that the correct term?
Right.
One of them is local, sort of, I think, based on who is responsible for statement of special inspections. One of them is not a registered professional, and one of them is a professional. Like,
So there's only registered design professional in the definitions.
so DP, design professional in charge, is a term that's used on our statement of special inspections.
That would be in the building code.
Okay,
The special inspections are not required in residential.
Answer that, chapter 17 of IBC.
I have made some notes on your chapter 3 on design criteria. That's chapter 3.
The other special inspector that's an IRC that's not an IBC is the third party energy. And is that in a definition, or is that in your city? Or should we push that to energy?
That might be in the energy section.
Yes.
Yeah, third party certified, third party certification agency. So that may be in the chapter 11.
So we just want it to be, if we're telling people to go to the definitions to define something, then we need to make sure that where we tell them in the definitions is.
Yeah, there is no definite in the energy.
How we have it.
Third party. So you may be talking about the third party energy rater.
Yeah, you guys call it third
Contract
party.
and licensing, you know, that's where we use that terminology, so I'm like. Might want to stop using that.
Well, or just make it match.
Yeah.
The term match,
Right.
because that's what you brought up, that on the IBC side, the terms match.
or I'm not 100% certain they do. One of them is, and again, it's related more just to special inspections. One of them is using the term in charge, which I don't know what that means, and I don't know if it's well defined. And one of them, so you often on projects, you'll have an engineer and an architect. Sometimes you'll only have an architect, and sometimes the architect is the one who is acting as a design professional in charge for the purpose of filling out statement of special inspections. Sometimes I've run across a case where, I mean, I could do some structural design. I I've run across cases where we had to get an engineer just specifically to be that guy, even though we didn't need any. So that's where just past experience, just kind of wondering where that technology all comes from and make sure we have it defined well.
Yeah, because if you look in the code here, it's design professional, it says C registered design professional, so. And then the registered design professional. Let's just check and see what that says here. Individual who is registered or licensed to practice their respective design profession as defined by the statutory requirements of the professional registration laws of the state or jurisdiction in which the project is to be constructed. So, and then, I mean, you know, it's determined by whatever we're reviewing, what is required. I would
Is this a
say,
simple vocabulary change in our, like our SI form? And registered design professional, getting rid of the in charge piece.
Is that what you're referring to, Mike? The form that we,
I think it's confusing, it has been confusing in the past.
I mean, it sounds like an easy fix. We can look at that.
yeah.
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 Make sure it mimics the code.
I want to commend the board so far. We're acknowledging the difference between the INRC and IBC earlier than we usually do.
The other one that we talked about was the definition of how many structural walls could come down and it be a remodel versus
Yeah,
a demo.
yes,
So does that transfer to the IRC or because that can be
that can be any structure.
so we can just use the same thing we already decided before into the IRC
Yes,
as a definition.
yes.
Okay.
Any other comments on two? Pretty straightforward stuff. Occasionally there'll be a new one put in.
That's a good note about the demo.
Okay, so chapter it's big chapter, it's building planning.
Who wants it first? Neil?
That's chapter grant.
Sick.
Six.
Can we look at the subheadings real fast?
Of the actual IRC money.
Uh-huh. I had just sort of gone through Janet's presentation and popped up things that came to mind versus going through chapter by chapter would probably be more efficient or hard.
Well, and you gotta remember that our staff went through that pretty thoroughly and came up based on our experience and knowledge what was about were significant changes for you guys.
Yeah,
And
yeah, and it may be that
we aren't gonna fill you guys with section by section.
what I was hoping to do was of the things of Janet's presentation that I saw and commented on.
There's quite a bit in chapter 3. So if you go to the contents.
That would be where
sections.
Unit separations between two unit structures, I think.
Sorry.
Like. There's somewhere where I don't usually get to. But here, we have the, there, that's visual codes.
Since the development code has changed and adopted, allowed two family dwellings, single family neighborhoods
Yes.
across the board. That's been a huge part of my work lately and it's sort
Mine too.
of. Yeah, so, I mean, I think a lot of the stuff in building planning as it relates to how the things are separated seems to be things that come to my mind. That,
Because, not to get off time with here, is one zoning allow two family or is it just R2?
R2.
Just R2?
Yep.
Okay. You covered this chapter in your presentation. So this,
So what specifically, do you want to look at R302?
Well, I think the things that probably, I mean, let's see, your comments about egress windows, I didn't have anything with that. I didn't think any issues at all with those changes that have been in there. And then, yeah, there was some stuff and there was some like, okay, I'm looking at my own comment there, the imaginary line comment. You can't divide a two-family dwelling with an imaginary line, not in every sense. I mean, that maybe you could with a townhouse. I mean, that statement in the, I think is that directly from the, I think it's directly from the code.
Yeah, that's the new code.
It
right?
doesn't, it just doesn't make any sense. You can't, a line does not define. The line is between 2 points. You can't divide a building by 2 points. A line, that doesn't make sense. Does that make, do you hear what I'm saying? I mean, you can divide a dwelling into two families by any combination of horizontal and vertical planes. And it's, maybe it's semantics, but I mean, that.
I understand.
The imaginary line just doesn't make sense as a description of how you conceive of a separation between two units in a 2-unit dwelling.
Right, so are you
Well-
making a proposal or?
Well,
Trying to write that out?
I just want to
Don't-
discuss it, yeah.
the way I remember that code section, tell me if I'm wrong, Janet,
Yeah,
is what it's saying is if you have an offset wall on a two-family dwelling or two-family dwelling, don't use duplex no more.
yeah,
And it offsets that next door unit by like 3 feet. That imaginary line, right, is supposedly goes. Continues.
No, I think
That-
you
that
may
was
be
on
confusing that with
Oh, maybe it's
the lateral bracing issue that we looked at.
Okay, so I got the wrong code section.
so in the two-family dwelling, they just say that they'll be separated from each other in accordance. Regardless of whether a lot line exists between the two dwellings, in the townhouses, they talk about. I think they brought up something about imaginary lines. But that may have been just in the code
I
commentary.
think the first paragraph or whatever, it said townhouses and two-family dwellings. And again, I was not looking at the code, I was looking at your excerpts from the code in your presentation.
And I think that may have been just the commentary.
What we can do is look back at your presentation after this meeting and come back with.
Yeah, because you're saying, Mike, it needs to be a plane to divide it, not just a
Yeah.
2D lot.
Yeah, it could be a complex plane, it's not even that, I mean, again, because you can divide a two-family dwelling by a combination of
But it's important,
horizontal and vertical planes.
it's important to distinguish though, whether that was within the code or what that was within the commentary. Because if it's in the commentary, then it's just a way of them explaining what it is supposed to mean. So we'll note that. And sometimes you look at a commentary, you need to call ICC because the commentary doesn't have.
It's some notes on real 1.2, the. I think it was the manual J did it.
And that you submitted that, right? You know,
What's that?
we have that submitted from you.
No,
No,
I don't even know where I put my notes. I think Janet, you had made the updates to
Yes,
the new one,
right.
and the new one's a little bit different than the old one. And
Yes, correct.
I just wanted to
So
make, I don't have it in there or anything.
Table 301.2.
But it was just the humidity levels for the manual J criteria. So winters 30% humidity and summer is 50% humidity. I don't think you had filled those in yet.
Right, I was gonna ask Sarah Jane about,
Oh.
it says on that one.
That
Yeah.
was it.
Because it has to be a
It was the only two.
accurate rated
Thanks.
weather station, plus it needs to be updated more recently than 2006.
Yeah, and it was the only two pieces of data I could not find.
So more to come on that.
Yeah, so that's a note for chapter 3.
I was gonna ask in that same design criteria chart, and this is just because it came up in our office the other day. The frost depth in Lawrence is noted as 30 inches. I think has been as long as I can remember. Everywhere else around here is 36.
Yes, I know.
And we were trying to figure out why, and I was like, I don't know, but I can ask that question.
I've confirmed that data with the chart. Let's see, where is that frost depth? It's from B, where the frost line depth from figure R 403.11. And then if you go to that figure, it shows it as 30.
Okay.
Yep.
Fort Collins a lot, which is in climate zone 5. Their frost depth is 30 inches. Fort Collins, Colorado. You go way up north in Michigan. You know, like Grand Rapids, and theirs is like 48 inches.
I'll just say 4 or 5 feet.
But then if you go closer to the lake, on one of those where they have lots of snow cover,
Like,
they'll be 36 inches. And they're further north. That's great.
that's the way it comes off the water.
Aspen, Colorado has a very shallow frost depth, but then their snow load is 100 pounds per square foot. So it's more than just climate.
Yeah, it's all the other factors. Yeah.
Do we have anything else in building planning, which includes what has to be submitted for permits? Because I think sometimes that slows the process down if things aren't submitted correctly for the permits. And we talked about, like, you know, the hand drawn versus the scale drawings submitted for IRC. So is there anything else that we need to look at as far as like a list or includes this for that initial submission? Or can contractors get a list of documents that they need to submit?
Well, we'll be updating our guidelines after we adopt the new code.
Okay,
And
based on what's in
yeah,
3.
right, and based on what's in 3 and what we adopt in 1 as far as permit documents that are required. You know, like I said, after we review the energy code, there's definitely some new requirements there. And so, yeah,
Okay.
we'll let people know exactly what we need. And hopefully down the road, I just actually took a class yesterday. It was very interesting. It was an AI class for plan review, and there are new things coming. Don't worry, you're not gonna see them for a while. But there are new things coming, where there'd be like a TSA pre-check for plans where the community can send in their plans to us, and there'll be like a pre-check where they can check off and, you know, correct their plans before they even submit them.
That's actually already
It'll be a
happening.
cool program.
There's some, can't remember what city out in California this, San Jose, I think it's San Jose. Google San Jose AI building permits, you probably will get a good article on it. It's gonna be here sooner than you think.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how fast it's moving. I mean, the software that they showed me yesterday is very, very, very beginner stuff, and it's gonna take a while, but their predictions are within 2 years that it will be exponentially bigger and better. And within 5 years, we'll all be doing it hands down. So I won't be necessary.
Then my retirement pay just got moved. to
Yeah,
Friday.
Not a day longer, right?
Yeah. Well, and some of this is not for the contractors that submit several permits a year.
Yeah.
It's for the one-off or 1 or 2 year builders.
Right.
That they're up to date with what's needed.
Yeah. Yep.
So their process is smoother.
Yeah.
And therefore less expensive because it's less labor intensive.
Yeah, fully agree. We got some. We won't share these ideas right now. We'll put it on the agenda at some point when we're farther along with it. Matt brings a very fresh perspective from not being within a city municipality, working the private side in bigger cities. So he, and collectively, we have some ideas that will impact 1 and 2 family permits. Then all the other non 1 and 2 family, we think will be. So it'll take us some time to get there, but as we get more information out there for the public digest, we'll share with you guys at the same time moving forward and your guys' thoughts on that. And we'll share with obviously Lawrence Home Builders Association and the stakeholders and the community in general. So, for example, real quick, I know we're getting off topic, so I don't want to go on this too far, but is it Overland Park, Matt, where they got like 27 plus single family or two family dwelling unit plans that have already been signed off on by city staff, and you submit that plan. The review process and issuance of that permit is accelerated 5-fold, 10-fold maybe.
So they did 27 in 8 weeks.
Well,
What you're
there's 27 floor plans that have been pre-approved by the city.
Yeah.
So if you use one of those floor plans, there's not going to be the time lag on review as if you brought something to the staff that was eyes had never been on it before.
Some planning stuff from curb and gutter and things like that, but
Yeah.
then we've already vetted that plan. They have already vetted that plan, so we don't need to look at it again, right?
Right. Our setbacks, locational lot are important. That still will happen, but the plan itself is, I want to say it's rubber stamp. That might be too strong a word. But there's a much more accelerated review of that. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So chapter 4 is
Foundation. And I believe that Mike proposed something this morning to us and asked, and Adrian, I hope you can participate in this conversation. He sent us an email and asked about when did we amend the foundation walls here, and here's the question. And if you scroll down, Matt, the amendment was made in 2018 to amend that the foundation walls that retain an excess of 72 inches, not 48 of unbalanced fill. And I did some digging through the codes and we talked about it in 2015. But I could not find out any other documentation except that we talked about it in 2015 to amend it to the 2018 codes.
So 15 did not have it.
So 15 did not, to my knowledge, have it, yes. Adrian, do you remember why we changed it from 48 inches to 72 inches?
Well, I'm almost thinking that one of the codes that came out with laterally unsupported foundation walls, and it was very unpopular, and they amended it. I think it was a 2012 came out with laterally supported. It was some type of ridiculous requirement, and it didn't. They vote it in the next code cycle. They dropped it, and I'm trying to think if this has something to do with that.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, I said 2018, I meant 2015. We
Yeah.
changed it in the 2015 code.
Yeah. Other than that, that's the only thing that I can remember that has to do with laterally supported walls. It was ridiculous.
I wouldn't say I'm opposed to this either, and I was actually on the board that adopted the 2018 codes.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I couldn't remember either if we even really talked about it, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
It was in there from the 15 code, so maybe it was kind of a non-issue then.
Area where-
But I just, reading back through your last presentation, I noticed that and just, again, noticed it's different than most other jurisdictions in the area, different than the code book, so just wanted to bring it up as a question.
Yeah, Dan Weddington was on that board that we did it with, so. I do not recall, I just remember that we kind of felt, I think there was some discussion like, wow, 48-inch walls just didn't seem like they needed, that it was just a little. Not enough, to require that, maybe we should go with 72. It was that much casual conversation.
Yeah.
Hey, Janet, I'm starting to remember now. There was a project out west. Well, a builder had built some retaining walls, a really large project of retaining walls. I think it came in as opposed to that. I don't want to say which builder it is, but do you remember that big blow up out there out west? It was a large retaining wall.
Yes,
Wasn't that about the same time this came in?
they have been.
Yeah.
What, Adrian, to try to go a little bit farther in detail, what was it? I assume it was a cost.
He went in and built a very, very long retaining wall that failed. And I think it has something to do with the height of the retaining wall, because what was the height of the retaining wall that we wanted to raise the height that needed permits, right? Janet, do you remember?
Right.
Yeah, we wanted to raise the height of the retaining wall that needed permits, and that I think this was a result of that.
I think that actually the fences and other structures were at like 48 inches that were allowed and didn't require a permit, right? And a retaining walls.
Well, currently it's up to 6 feet.
Yeah.
I don't think, I think Adrian's probably onto something from his memory. I don't think the fence code is the reason that this was increased to six feet. That's my guess. Because if you can put up any fence in the city right now, 6 feet or below, that doesn't require to be permitted. Maybe there is some connection, but
There was some connection.
I guess where I'm going with this, Mike made the comment. Do we need to dive into this deeper for you, or are you okay with us?
I guess my only other question would be just if there had been any other wall failures in the last 6 or 8 years that would cause us to want to look at this further.
Unless the 6 feet, you mean?
Right, oh, yeah, in that 4 to 6 feet.
I feel like one of the regular manufacturers of segmental retaining walls has a 48-inch cutoff before you have to do a geogrid tie-in, which becomes a lot more complicated for a DIY person to deal with. I could be wrong, but it's been a while since I've designed or built one of those, but I think there was some manufacturer's information about 48 inches being a sort of regular level. I don't know, you got more. I'm thinking of Versalon.
We'll take your guys' direction. If you want us to reevaluate this and look further, we will do that. Or if you're okay with where it stands, we'll simply.
For me, it would depend on the material, I think you could easily build a 6-foot wall with, 2,000-pound limestone blocks without an engineer, but if you're using a proprietary system,
Well, also whether it's stepped, there's all kinds of elements, right?
Right.
Drainage, how you doing your drainage?
Right.
We see failure on limestone block for sure.
Yeah. Spalling happens pretty quickly and so forth. Yeah, I honestly know that this was there for quite at least from 15. I haven't thought much about it. But if you guys want us to go back and try to determine how we got to the 72 inches, we can definitely do that.
Yeah, I think we can just do that.
That would be helpful.
See the wise.
Sure, okay.
Alrighty, and I think that was the only Unless anybody else on chapter 4. Okay, chapter 5, is floors.
The group online, are you able to hear us decently, or do we need to speak a little louder if possible?
We can hear you fine, or at least I can.
Okay, just checking. I know there was some concern last time that we weren't being heard very well, so thanks, Laura.
A lot of questions I get, that come in is about the roof sheathing. And, don't think that there's anything that I need to bring up here, but it's pretty funny that I have to refer them to the sections in here about floor sheathing. Actually, it covers the roof sheathing as well in the table. And people are quite surprised that they can do 3/8 inch sheathing on the roof. Loud. I can't remember what table that is. But I don't think we want to change anything there.
I think that 503.2.1.1,
Pardon me?
Is that it right there?
Is that where it's based on
Yeah,
the
there you go.
allowable
Yeah.
live load, which would
Right.
match the snow load,
Right,
if it was roof?
right. Otherwise, nothing in this section that I'm alerted to, and that hasn't changed. For years.
So we don't have any recommendations on that.
Yeah. Next chapter. 6, wall construction, and I believe this one, Neil has a suggestion,
yeah,
king studs.
I've just long had a real problem with this chart. I don't know that we need to do anything about it. I just kind of wanted to bring it up. I don't think inspectors don't really look at this stuff that I know of. But
Lee does.
this chart has been changed in the code book multiple times. Changed back, changed again. And
Matt, can you blow it up a little bit if possible?
And to me, the chart is completely nonsensical. It talks about the minimum number of full height studs at each end of a header. So like for a window. And it doesn't mention the height of the wall. Doesn't mention the type of studs used. It just assumes, it makes a really, really simplistic assumption that if you have a 6 foot wide window and your studs are on 2 foot centers, then you've replaced 2 studs. 2 studs now are missing. So now you take those and you put them on that's extra king stud. Well, what if the wall has, 2x8 studs and it's 6 feet tall? Obviously, you don't need to do that. So it's really a ridiculously oversimplified deal. Now, this is from the American Wood Council, which is all of this stuff is from American Wood Council. And they go into more detail there. So they actually add a third deal, which is the height of the sill. So if you put the height of the sill, if the sill is on the floor, let's say it's a sliding door, then it's very little stress on the king stud. But if you move the sill to the midpoint of the wall, now you have point loads that are created by the sill pushing on those king studs, and that's the maximum load on a king stud. That's what most people call a full height stud, is a king stud. And anyway, I was just volunteering Mike for a little work on coming up with a better shutter. But
I do think, so you don't know if we should invest with it, but if we do, Mike needs to do it.
yeah.
Appreciate it.
I played with it, and I think what you'll find is if you assume a worst case scenario, as they must have done for this, and that's 2 before studs and a 10 foot tall wall, then you know, the numbers come out pretty close. I'd say they're a little weak. But then when you move to a two to sixes, to a 2 to 6 wall, there's almost never a need for extra king size. And these days, at least going forward, we're probably gonna be predominantly using 2 to 6 walls. I think already at least 50% of the houses are 2 to 6 walls. But it seems to me that you should reward the people using 2 to 6 walls and acknowledge that it's structurally way stronger than a 2 to 4.
Which would be a cost benefit, meaning it would reduce costs in the 2 by 6 walls.
Yeah, so the induced stress on a 2 to 6 stud is gonna be 2.5 times smaller than a 2 to 4. It's a lot more than what you think. I mean, 2 to 6s are very strong. So anyway, I've always hated this chart.
I think they have backed off a little bit. I do remember the code cycle where it was a straight, they added the number of king studs based on how many studs were taken out with that window or door. And I remember the Lawrence Home Builders pushed back on that. I don't think it even made it anywhere.
Oh yeah, they backed off on it quite a bit, but it's still to me, the whole chart is absurd. But the only way to fix it would be to create a new chart that's gonna be more complicated. But not that much more complicated, because we could do it for one wind load, one wind, 110 with exposure B and exposure C. And then you could do it for 2 to 4s and 2 to 6s. There'd be some more variables, but still wouldn't be.
So they just reference the 2 to 4. This would be the chart for that.
Yeah.
2 to 6. This
You'd
is the
have a
chart.
2 to 4 chart, a 2 to 6 chart, or just an added column. I was just gonna volunteer Mike for that. In his spare time. I know he's got a lot of spare time. You throw a finite element analysis on
I don't,
for me the next time you volunteer. He watches a book over here.
We're gonna pass a new resolution at the end of this meeting, and if you bring something that you clean it.
You kill it, you clean it.
I don't disagree, Neil. I guess my question would be if the board starts going down this path, where do we stop? We could start running numbers on every single one of these tables too.
Right.
I mean,
And it's not like. Yeah, I don't think this gets enforced. I don't think.
right, and any house in the city limits, though, is probably going to be in that far right-hand column. Because your wind exposure will probably be less. So you're looking at a max of 2 king studs, even for a 10-foot or wider header.
Yeah,
So I feel like that's probably about right. I don't know, does the city have any properties that would be considered exposure C for a wind category?
yeah, I've seen it happen, but it would be unusual. But county is pretty much all Cs.
Right.
And even D.
Yeah.
County is.
Well, part of our review process, this is a great conversation, is to determine what is problematic from an enforcement and cost, well, not necessarily cost, we don't look at cost too much, safety, and determine what fights you want to take on. So that's where we look for you as the board for direction.
Yeah, I just wanted to take a swing at it. It's not a big deal. I don't think it's a problem. Portal frames, Neil, be the same. I don't know what you could ever do about that either. Right. I teach classes on that.
That's a problem everywhere.
Yeah, I teach the class over at Johnson County and I teach it here. And everybody wants to put hold down straps on everything. And and they don't do the detail right, so they're called. And I would guess that 95% of the time, you don't need the whole dumpster.
I think the foundation contractors got gun shy when it first started coming around that it was being enforced, and so they just.
When in doubt,
Anywhere,
put 'em
yeah,
in.
put 'em in.
Strap it's gotta be cut.
I mean, I design them all day long, and every time I go out there and there's those straps, like,
Yeah.
not a plan.
Yeah.
All of that.
But I put on mine, I put on there, no straps, no straps. Go out there, they've got the straps.
But your last,
It's not hurting anything, but, you know.
No,
but your last sentence is, I think, the key. Probably the biggest benefit would be education, right?
right. Which. Right,
Oh, have you done that for most home builders?
yeah,
So that's not even.
maybe 4 or 5 times.
Okay. Well,
Good to.
well, I guess I'm saying this with humor, and it's not being done anywhere correctly.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's just education.
Yeah. Man, let's make a note of that.
Yeah.
At the minimum, talk to our field staff.
Anything else in chapter 6? Okay, chapter 7 is wall covering.
Going once, going twice in chapter
Yeah.
7.
Chapter 8.
I need to check real quick. Is Adrian still with us? He's being awful quiet.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, check it.
Chapter 8.
It's just not much exciting in these first few chapters.
No,
I see.
really. Chapter 8 is roof ceiling construction. I don't think we had too much happen in there at all. That was where this socket information was introduced. Chapter 9. Roof assemblies. And last but not least is chapter 10, chimneys and fireplaces.
Just off the top of your head, my refresher, we didn't get this far on your presentation, right?
Yeah.
Or did we?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Did we stop?
And
At 10?
10,
Okay.
right. Chapter 11 is energy efficiency.
Okay.
And then mechanical, electrical, plumbing. Gas, et cetera, which we kind of about way covered and we'll cover again.
Okay. Once, going twice, and 1 through 10.
So given that we didn't have a lot more discussion, what you have for the next meeting or the one after that, the language laid out for what the amendments or exclusions are. So that's something that could go to a vote.
Well, you mean we'll provide the ordinance as, yes.
Yeah.
We got the ordinance in very rough draft form with all the new code sections to the recodification. We should be able to get that going.
Do we have any business out, any other thing on the agenda that we're need? Okay, do we have any new items on the agenda?
Just want to give the group a heads up that, as scheduled, it most likely will stay true. You will hear an appeal March 12th. On a applicant that is filling a notice that we issued of probation. Matt will be working on that packet. We'll make sure you get that in plenty of time. That will be, 2 weeks from today. You are the hearing board to make those determinations. You'll be provided everything. There will be no new material brought that isn't provided on the agenda. So look for that. Might want to refresh your memory on the bylaws if needed about your responsibility, but basically that real short summary, you hear the evidence that's presented by us, the city, and by the appellant, and you make a determination based on those comments and facts that's presented, whether we made the right decision in simple terms.
And the contractor in question has their time to comment.
Yes. I think Matt sent you and Adrian, because he's co-chair in case that for some reason you can't be here, an outline of how that meeting should go.
The procedure for
Procedures,
the
because
appeals.
we want to follow those guidelines as closely as possible, just to keep the meeting orderly, on task.
And I'll send you information on that this evening. Or then for the official agenda packet, early next week. The only thing that will change is just the addition of email, attachments, and things like that. Then tomorrow you've got sort of the history of the challenges we've been up against. You'll have the notice from us, you'll have the reply from his representation, and then
Relevant documents attached.
photo from us.
So he can speak, you guys speak again. Is it a public meeting or is it closed?
No, it's
public.
It's public.
And is there public comment allowed?
Yes. Yeah. And that,
After this,
So anybody that read the agenda online and
Yep.
chose to comment could come in. So we would call for public comment
Yes.
after.
and that's in your outline, right? Yeah, that's all spelled out.
kind of near the end.
We all kind of expect what's coming up.
Yeah.
Public comment, and then.
No, realize.
It doesn't happen very often, about once every 2 to 3 years. Last one we did was on a PMC case. That was probably 3 years ago. So, we talked, just real quick, we talked with our planning group that does these much more common occurrences on the building board of zoning appeals and so forth. So we're pretty much going to mirror their process. Take something that's been successful and obviously stay to them as true as it can be.
Being a newbie who's never gone through that process before, is the rules and regulations of this board, are any conflicts of interest pretty well stated about, just because I know that most of us know just about everybody else in town and probably work, for all I have no idea who this is or what it's about, but it's entirely possible that I'm the architect. What's the?
You were not.
Here's how that works, Mike. Once you get the agenda, and if you feel there's a conflict of interest, let us know why you think there is. And then we'll run it by our deputy city attorney, Randy Larkin, and he'll give the official weigh-in on whether, because just because you know somebody doesn't mean there's a conflict of interest.
Normally it has to do with money exchanging.
Yes. So like if this person would happen to be your client on a regular basis, there might be a conflict of interest. But that's a good point. If we have another one of these down the road at some point, and you guys, and you're getting that feeling that you may have one, let Matt and I know, and be our, detail on why you think that might be, and then we run it by, and the city attorney office might say, you're right, Mike Myers can't weigh in on this decision. And that's okay, as long as there isn't more than 5 of you that have a conflict of interest, then we should be good to go. So, great question.
So isn't this a contractor licensing?
We won't go into it too deep
Okay.
here, but basically, we utilize the issuance of a probation notice based on code language that we thought was relevant in this case.
Okay.
And it'll be much more detailed in your agenda packet. We just wanted to talk to you about it today and give you a little bit to digest. So when you come,
Procedure.
procedure wise, you'll know how it works. And you said that to Sarah Jane today, you probably haven't looked at it yet, or maybe you have. We gave you a pretty good detail of how it goes. And then
It's pretty detailed.
I will help you any way that is needed through that process if we get hung up on something.
Do we have any other comments from the board that are online?
I had one comment that may be completely unrelated, but I wanted to bring it up and see if anybody had opinions on this. But I got an email from Johnson County, the licensing there, and they said that our state is voting to move the renewal of licenses to a state license. Does anybody has anybody heard of that happening, and that it already passed in the House and it's going to the Senate?
Yeah, I have a little bit of information on that, JJ. Thanks for bringing it up. And we can share that. Can't remember who within the city just sent that to me this week. What I read online is House, I don't remember the House bill number, but it was specifically to electrical contractor licensing. That's all, the House bill that I saw, that's all it pertained to. And it's quite lengthy, but we will definitely share that with the board. I think we got it this week. Did I send it to you?
Yes.
Maybe 2 days ago.
2 days ago. It's really recent. I haven't even had time to reread it. I took one look at it. I go, my God, that's a lot to digest. So I don't know how it impacts city municipalities and our contractor licensing part, but we'll get that sent out to the board. But it was just this week I got it, probably 2 days ago, maybe Monday at the latest. But
Yeah, well, and Johnson County is advocating to not do this, but I mean, I think it may be unavoidable, but
well,
you know,
I mean, my personal opinion, it might be state overreach. I don't know what you guys think of it, but
yeah, I feel it would be really bad for our trades because I think the requirement for the years to get your license is going to go up. I think we're having a hard enough time getting guys in the field to get,
yeah,
be motivated to get their license. And, I just think it's not going to be good all around
yeah, we'll
for,
definitely share that.
for
And
our
I'm glad
trade.
you brought that up. It totally slipped my mind.
And
Yeah,
I know my company, we've got a lobbyist that we're trying to work with to get a hold of our senators, but I feel like time is kind of the essence on this because I believe it's getting ready to go to the Senate to vote on. And the House passed it with a very high majority. And nobody found out about this quickly because of the way it was, I'm told, because of the way it was, whatever channels it went through, everybody caught on to this really late. But yeah, I was curious if anybody else had opinions on that.
yeah, let us get that out tomorrow to the group. And then we can, but you're right, it's.
And I'm very curious why it would only be the electric trade.
Yeah, well, so architects, engineers are state licensed.
Yep.
But the other contractors or roofing contractors.
Roofing contractors is a state requirement. That was new, and that's why we implemented roofing licensing. How many years ago? 6, 7, 8 years ago, probably. Maybe I'm overestimating the time period. But yeah, this one I looked at was just on the electrical trade.
Yeah. House Bill 2588.
Did I send that to you?
Yes,
When did I send that to you?
2 days ago.
2 days ago. I just found out about it. So we'll forward it to the group.
Yeah, I just wonder if the city of Lawrence is able to make any efforts to at least plead a case against doing this.
Yeah, let us do some homework on that, JJ, and we'll get back sooner than later on that. Typically, what happens on some House bills that go through our legal department, city attorney's office gets wind of it, and then if it has something specific to a certain department of the city, like building permits and contractor licensing, they'll reach out for us. Sometimes we get notified very late in the game, like you just mentioned, and You know who sent that to me? Remember seeing? It was someone I think within the city got wind of it. And, oh, I think it was a fellow former co-worker that's in another jurisdiction now, I think, is what happened, now that I think about it. But yeah, so, the city often provides certain positions on certain state legislation and it's usually, I can't always say it comes just from the city commission, it might come from the city manager's office or something like that, but I can't really speak for sure on that, how that process works. But my plan is honestly to reread it. Because it mimics how we do code, strike through or stuff that they eliminate and all the underlying stuff is all brand new and it went on for numerous pages. So in my personal opinion, sometimes when I read these House bills, they are so poorly done that I just can't believe that they're passing something with that wording. But anyway, we'll get it out to you ASAP tomorrow. Or
Thank
even
you.
possible this evening.
Outside, yeah.
Thanks, JJ. Do we have any other board comments online from the Zoom?
Well,
Adrian?
Brian, before the appeal meeting, if it would be good to have specific code section available for us to read about appeals and probation. I'm sure the probation is specifically listed in our administrative code, right?
Yep, what we'll do when we send that package to the board by email, there will be the appeal letter from the appellant and his representative. There'll be our memo to you, the board. There'll be relevant documents that may be identified within the memo, attached to that memo. And then we will provide the code language that talks about specifically putting someone on probation and also about the appeal process, what that looks like. So yes, you'll get everything you need prior to that meeting.
Okay, there you go.
We'll try to get that out. I'm on a little bit of a vacation next week. Do you think you can get that next week sometime?
I plan to send it before I leave here
Today? Everything? We don't have everything.
No, the email backups will come with the agenda packet next week,
Okay,
but then they at least have information on the case.
so I think I had one small comment on your.
Yeah, I'll revise
Okay.
that at the end.
Well, very optimistic. If that happens today or tomorrow, that's great. So we want you guys to have plenty of time to digest that. There was no way we could get it on today's meeting. It was too much of a quick of a turnaround.
Yeah, send that, Matt. I'm anxious to know what's going on. I'm kind
I'm sure it would pique your interest in
Any other online comments or online comments from the public? Do we have any public?
Anyone online?
Why? No.
Looks like it's just our group and Diddy.
And we have Jeremy Lewis here from the
Yeah,
public.
so I would open up public comment here.
So do we have any public comment in the room?
Okay, I close the public comment.
Close. Motion to close.
So
I usually don't make the motions. I ask for the motions. You can second whatever you want.
Let the record show, motion by Neil, seconded by Warren. To close public comment. Do we have anything else on the agenda?
No, sir.
I don't think so. So 2 weeks to meeting.
Yeah, well.
We got the updated schedule.
Yeah, before we officially close the meeting real quick, this will be very brief, so everyone can get out of here on bigger and better things in their own lives. Are we planning to continue the meeting here?
That is up for discussion.
Want to get your guys' feelings? Is this better than our small conference room at the city? Is
I
it more?
think for an appeal hearing, this would be more comfortable than a small meeting. Having been through a couple of them.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
would be easier than a small meeting.
So there, I think there's two things. We think this will work better for an appeal hearing. Does this work is good for our code review with you guys, the distance from the monitors and so forth? the convenience, all that stuff. So just want to throw that out there. You guys tell us what you think on that. I think the small, our large, we call it the large conference room, right? Because it's small, like six people. I think that room is too small for what we're trying to accomplish in 2 weeks. I agree. How about the other meetings?
I like this. I mean, it's a little harder to see the monitors.
Yeah.
I think the overall room is.
I don't feel so cramped.
Right. I think it just. Internally.
We could also have an extra 4 people here and give it be correct.
Yeah, okay, we'll continue. My suggestion to us is we obviously try to book this out as far out as they'll let us.
Got it all year.
Oh,
So there's one date that doesn't work, but.
okay, we'll figure that out. All right, so we'll continue to meet here. Just wanted to throw that out. Okay,
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move.
Thanks, Adrian.
that's the only comment he has all day. I'm just ripping you, Adrian.
Oh, don't worry about it. My philosophy, Brian, is not to amend the codes at all. So,
Yeah.
so I'm just fine with no amendments.
Okay, sounds
Says the
good.
man that had a million electrical amendments. Yeah.
Okay, so did we get a second on the adjourn? Second by Kevin. All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks,
Aye.
everyone.
Thanks.
Everyone online, thank you.